and we decided to grab Caton Bredar. You were on the show last week and you talked a lot about just the horses, but with the Derby and Oaks so close, a lot of people are wondering, what horse should I look at? What horse should I pick? And you gave us some great advice last week, but we want to know particularly about the field of horses that are competing in both races. If you could do a little bit of rundown for us, maybe on the Oaks first.
Well, the Oaks is incredibly deep. It's one of the best fields we've seen in years. One of the favorites is sure to be a filly named Dreaming of Julia, who a lot of people feel could have held her own had she run in the Derby against the Colts. She won her last race by 20 lengths, and that was in a stakes race. You don't see that very often, that kind of a commanding performance. And if she can come close to duplicating it, she might not even have to run as well as she did, but if she can come close, she's really going to be a factor that's going to be tough to beat. But that being said, there have been about 3 or 4 other fillies that have just looked exceptional as they've trained at Churchill Downs, among them for Bob Baffert, who won't be in the Derby. He does have the filly that could win the Oaks in Midnight Lucky. She's trained exceptionally well. She's tactically got some speed, and coming in from California has faced different competition than Dreaming of Julia, so she's another one. And then last year's Breeders' Cup winner among the 2-year-old fillies, Beholder, has actually come back to that form. She's put together 2 nice races in a row. She's also shipping in from California, and she's an extremely strong contender. And that's just a few of them. There's even a filly that's sort of the new shooter in the group named Close Hatches, who races for Hall of Famer Bill Mott. She's undefeated in 3 starts, and she's actually the filly I'm leaning toward at this point because of the way she's looked in her training.
So it should be one of the best Oaks races that people have seen in years, right?
Absolutely, no question. And what's fun is a lot of the connections involved in the Oaks are also involved in the Derby.
Now, as far as the Derby goes, there's a lot of horses. We actually talked to a lot of people tonight, jockeys, trainers, kind of got a feel of how excited people are. You can tell that everyone's just ready for Saturday to be here. They've been at Churchill riding for a few days. Can you go through a few of the horses that you like and maybe some people you talked to tonight as well?
Well, it's going to start every conversation, I think, for the next few days with Orb, because he's trained sensationally, because he comes in off a win in the Florida Derby, which has been a prestigious stepping stone toward the Kentucky Derby, and because of his trainer, a Hall of Famer who doesn't come to the Derby very often, despite the fact that he desperately wants to win it. It's the only hole in his resume. The horse has kind of the complete package, so to speak. He has the pedigree to be brilliant at 1.25 miles. He has a running style to come from a little bit off the pace, so he doesn't have to have the lead, but he can come from farther back if it's necessary. And he has the hot jockey in Joel Rosario, who's been winning left and right. So he's the horse that most people are keying in on, and it would be hard to leave him out of any of your tickets when you're talking about the 2 or 3 top contenders. But that being said, I think Verrazano, who's undefeated in 3 starts now, didn't have his connections here. Todd Pletcher has 5 runners in the race. I think that's probably his best chance by far. He's also coming off a 2-race win streak at the highest level, including the Wood Memorial. So he has kind of been a little under the radar in his training, but you still have to respect him. And then from California, Doug O'Neill, who won the race last year, brings in Golden Sense, and Golden Sense was very good at 2, and a lot of people questioned whether he could carry that to his 3-year-old season, but he won the Santa Anita Derby, and he showed kind of a new level of maturity, so you definitely believe he's a contender.
Now, the weather could change, but at this moment, it looks like the weather on Saturday is not going to be ideal, especially for watching a race, but also for the horses racing. How does that take an effect on these guys, and do they change their game plans? A lot of them said that they wouldn't, some said they would. How does that play a part?
Well, you can't take a horse who just doesn't care for a particular surface and do anything to really help them, but some of the trainers will maybe do some different things in terms of their shoeing to hopefully give their horses a little extra traction. And then some of the trainers will be happy with it because their horses actually seem to be the types that like it. I don't think Orb will be affected by any water in the track, although he runs very well on a fast track. I think pedigree-wise he should be able to handle it. It's My Lucky Day, who has looked terrific since he arrived from South Florida, is really used to it. He's run in sloppy conditions before, and in South Florida, where he's based, in the summertime, it rains a lot. So I don't think it'll be a detriment to him either, but you look at the pedigree, and sometimes that gives you a little clue as to whether or not the horses will handle it. Some sire lines really seem to take to it better than others, and anybody that has AP Indy in their pedigree usually can handle the slop pretty well.
Now, you talked about your favorites. What about some of the surprises that people could look for, some of those long shots?
Well, Palace Malice is a horse that I like a lot and I think will be a huge long shot. But you get a top jockey in Mike Smith. He's making an equipment change with the blinkers on. I don't know if he can win, but I really think that at a big price he's going to be in the picture. There's a couple others. The horse that Rosie Napravnik is riding, I'm not sure how much of a long shot he'll end up being because so many people are going to be backing Rosie. But My Loot is a local horse. He should be a decent odds. He should be considered a long shot, but he's trained well and he seems to be coming to hand, and he has kind of a good running style for the race, and I think he could slip in there too.
All right. Thank you, Caton. It's always nice talking to you, and I know we talked to a lot of really excited people today who are just ready for the Derby to be here.
Well, it is a treat. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience for the fans as well as for the horsemen.
Thank you.